right, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of The Called. This is episode 9, and today I have an SM that is currently out in the field. His name is Justin. Justin, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit more to the audience?
Yo, yes, yeah. So, like you said, I'm Justin, and I'm currently at Milo Academy, which is Southern Oregon, and I'm about to finish my SM year. This is like a week into, the last week of serving. Then I'll be going back and doing all kinds of things for the summer. So I'm excited to be here.
That's awesome, Justin. And how did you choose your location and your position there?
Ooh, so it's interesting. I was wanting to go to the Philippines because I'm studying biology pre-med and I want to be a doctor someday. Oh, so excited. And I heard about this position both in the Philippines and in Peru that they had medical assistant opportunities for
Right.
SMs. So I thought it would be cool to spend a year there, learning how to suture people up and stuff. So I was so excited. But then I needed a lot of money, and also COVID. That was the biggest thing. COVID
Right.
hit, and I was not able to travel to anywhere outside of the states. So I I thought that I would just stay at Walla Walla for 2020 2021, that school year that just passed, and probably try again my senior year. But it's kind of weird to say, but I kind of had this thought like, why don't I just ask if I can go to Milo Academy and help them out with anything that they with any needs that they have, since I came from Mexico to Milo in order to study, and I finished high school there. They were so awesome, and they helped me so much. So I was like, well, why don't I just call? I called, and in the matter of like a few hours, people like from Milo called me. They were like, "Oh, Justin, so like we have this place for you to come, and like this job that we really need your help with. Can you come?" And it was, I was just surprised. I was like, "Okay, sure." And that's how I ended up here at Milo.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, definitely God, like whether a door closes, he'll definitely open another. So that's great that, he was able to do that for you. Um, I don't know of any other SMs that have been to Milo. What is your day to day look like? What are you doing? What is your position there? If you'd like to share that with everyone.
Of course, currently it's been interesting. I've been working with the agriculture department. They need a lot of help. What's it called? They had me go from working with the students and doing cohort things with COVID and everything to helping out with harvesting for the market. We have a cool Milo market over here where we sell organic produce and stuff like that.
Mm,
So every morning I just get up, get some breakfast going. Sometimes I make breakfast, sometimes I go to the cafeteria and talk with some students around 8:30, or I should be at work at 8, but well, around 8, 8:30 or so. I go down, open the market, put all the items out and make sure everything is fresh. Then I start harvesting and doing other things that we need to do in the farm, and I work there until 5:30 in the afternoon. So
Okay,
yeah.
great. That's awesome. And you're saying that you cook in, it seems like you're in an apartment right now. Is that correct? Or what is your living situation while you're there?
Yeah, so they were really nice to have me stay here. It's the half of a duplex.
Okay.
There's two sides, and I have a really cool neighbor. I go to hang out with him, watch movies, play video games sometimes. And I stay here and have my own stove and whatnot and refrigerator. So they've been cool to do that, to just like
Yeah.
let me stay here during my time.
For sure. That's awesome. And are there any other SMs there or any other people that kind of help with the market, or is it just you solely doing everything?
There was in November, our second missionary left. They were here for 2 years. It was
Oh, wow.
intense. Yeah, they came all the way from Brazil, and they were planning on going back at the beginning of this school year, but they ended up having to stay, and they enjoyed it. They wanted to. So by November, they figured things out and they headed out, and so it's just been me, but in the market. but they also have another student missionary from Southern University
Okay.
uh, that's been here for 2 years as well. She is a what's it called, a girls what's it called, dean.
Dean.
Yeah, and another student that graduated from here and decided to stay here to help out with the kitchen, with
Okay.
cafeteria work. Hmm.
That's awesome. So are you solely in like the agricultural program, or are you also doing some stuff with the students as a dean or any other responsibilities like that?
Well, see, students back at Walla Walla, like when we get back and when I talk to other student missionaries, they say like, "Oh, I had a ton of jobs." And I kind of feel a little bit the same way here, but they try to focus most of my time working there in the garden,
Okay.
um, helping weed, a bunch of things, doing things here with the students, which is really nice. They study half of the day, and the other half of the day they work to pay their college. I mean, not their college,
High
their high
school.
school tuition.
Cool,
So,
cool.
yeah. Hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what do you think has been the hardest thing about your year as an SM?
Oof. So I have been having to be like the idea of being a staff member, where you were once a student. It's so weird. Like, I'd have to enforce rules that I didn't like, sometimes agree with when I was here as a
Mm,
student. I had to call out some students to like, hey, don't hold hands and stuff like that. That's a rule that they have here. And I've had to enforce some like COVID rule policies, and not everybody is really excited to have, a staff member be like, hey, your mask and stuff like that. So like
right.
it's so out of my nature to go and confront somebody close to my age and
Mm.
be like, yo, so you should be doing this, and like if they say no, then you got to be like, you're gonna get in trouble. And it's so weird. Like, I have been building those connections with the students, and even after I've had to talk to them about the rules, but that's the hardest thing, because we all sometimes mess up, and me having to go up to somebody and be like, yo, what are you doing? And
Right.
it's that's been the hardest thing this year.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. During my time as a teacher in Madro, I also, there was some times where I would have to enforce rules with the high schoolers or whatever it may be, whether that was on the basketball court or, in the, just on campus or whatever, that I necessarily either didn't, follow when I was a high school student as well, or I didn't necessarily feel as if, it is a great rule to be enforced. And so I definitely, kind of feel you on that one. What were you most worried about going into your student mission year, about going back to your academy that you went to at high school?
Yeah, high school. It was that people would say that it it would be hard, it would be different to see like the other side of things, like going from being a student, enjoying all the activities that there were, to having to be a person that takes care of other students.
Mm,
That scared me so much. Like, um, and I feel like everybody should do something like this at some point, where you get to either babysit, date, or like take care of students or of children or something. It kind of like made me have to transition from like, oh, cool, like it's almost time for, this activity or going to the cafeteria or whatnot, and be like, hey, are these students like, is the food ready? Are the students out from work? Like, have they finished their responsibilities? Like, do they have a way to get to the cafeteria? Is there enough supervision for the activity this night? Being going from being the person that's being taken care of to the caregiver is, oh, that scared me a lot.
yeah,
And it was, I didn't realize how intense it was until I got here. And I've I've kind of come to like it. Like, after a whole year of doing it, um it's given me such a new perspective of like being like, wow, like taking care of people is so, it's so cool. It's rewarding. Yeah.
right, right. No, for sure. And I'm sure, like, I know when I went to Majro, there was a little bit of difficulty to getting, a lot of the older students to acknowledge me as someone as like a authoritative figure, just because, I was out like not from their country, and B, I probably looked around the same age as some of them. But I could kind of lie about that just because they didn't really know who I was. I could be like, oh, I'm actually like 30 years old, blah 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 blah. But
Yo.
you went back to your high school, so I'm sure you may or may not have seen people that kind of recognize your face on campus. So how did you kind of bridge that gap as far as being able to discipline people or just be an authoritative figure on campus?
Well, it was weird because the senior class for this year was the freshman class when I was here as a
Right.
senior. So, oh man, they were like, "Yo, what's up, bro?" And I was like, "Hey, Bob, like it's good to see you again." And then they wouldn't be, like, they would be breaking the rules or something and be like, "Hey, Bob, so you see, I don't like doing this." And they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" Like, it was tough because I I feel like I didn't do the best of, I didn't do my best to keep that bridge of friendship and, you know, being like, talking from student to student.
Mm-hmm.
I went more on the side of like, I'm told to enforce these rules, so I gotta be, straight to the point, sometimes even strict and stuff. So, I don't know if I did a good job with that since now I see some of the students that were here when I was a student, and they seem they see me a lot more as a kind of like a staff member, an authoritative figure, but like not as like a friend to hang out with anymore.
Mm.
So that's also been a little interesting.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I know a lot of people feel that way, towards the end of the year, but I feel like I can definitely reassure you in knowing that there are relationships that you might have built that you might not have even, seen with your own eyes or like felt, but I'm sure the kids like have felt a connection with you. And I know that that goes a long way for a lot of other SMs as well, because I know that's kind of one problem that a lot of SMs have, thinking that they didn't build the biggest connections with people. But I feel like once you reflect upon your year, once you're kind of out of your environment, you realize just how much, you may have touched people, just from either messages that you'll receive later or just by any other, just different perspective. And kind of going off of that, what, now that you're almost at the end of the year, what are you kind of most worried about going back to either, back home and then back to Walla Walla?
Oof. Well, home is back in Mexico, so I'll be visiting for 2 weeks. But yeah, I haven't been home for like a year or so. So it'll be nice to go and see my
Mm.
parents again. But Walla Walla, going back to Walla Walla, I'm like happy about it. I'll be able to see a ton of friends that I've been keeping contact with
Mhm.
while I'm here as a student missionary. But going back to classes, getting back into the rhythm of like 12 a.m. is like going to bed early and getting up at 5 again to study before your quiz, like, and cram and everything. That's gonna be like that worries me a little bit because as much as I've been trying to keep up my studies right now, I have so much to remember, so much to learn when I get back. So I'm kind of scared. Since I want to be a doctor, I want to get those straight A's. I want to get
Right.
into medical school with like a good grade and everything. So yeah, I'm scared that I'm a little rusty with
Mm.
my knowledge and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel that for sure. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something that a lot of people would agree with, if they were SMs or currently an SM. Just being able to get back into the rhythm of, academics and schooling. But do you feel as if now that you kind of had this opportunity to be a staff member, do you feel like you are more appreciative towards either your professors back on campus or your staff members on campus? How do you think you feel about that?
Oof, like it's a double-edged sword. I am so appreciative like of how. Oh, so there's times where I work 8 hours outside, my skin is burned, my muscles are sore, and I'm just like dead. And then my sister comes knocking on my door, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, my sister is here, and she's graduating this
Oh,
this in a week."
congratulations.
So she comes over and she's like, "Hey, Justin, can you play volleyball with us for 2 hours?" And I'm like, "Oh." And after that, it's like sometimes the pastor's like, "Hey, do you want to go jam? Do you want to jam with the students and stuff like that?" And I'm like, "Oh my." So I admire my staff members and the staff members here so much more because even after a whole day of work, even after a whole week of work, in the weekends they're willing to hang out with the students, to be open with them and have fun with them.
Mhm.
It I've personally been like so dead that I just like lay down on my bed like during Saturday and Sunday, just like sleep as much as I can. So I really appreciate how the staff members have like all the effort that they put in for the students, but I've also seen that they're a lot more human than I thought when I was a
Mm.
student. Like going to staff meetings and hanging out with them and hearing their stresses and all the things that they're trying to figure out. It's I don't know. It made me see them, you know, both like both appreciate them, but also it was how do I explain it? Yeah, it also kind of frustrated me. Like I thought that staff members were had things figured out and they what's it called, planned ahead and everything. And the thing is, we're all so human, and seeing
Mm.
them, being among them as a staff member, has really opened my eyes to that. Like
Mhm.
it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
No, definitely, definitely. And I feel like that goes for anyone as an SM. You gain different perspectives from the different roles that you might have, and you kind of see as you were saying, like you see people that you thought were almost inhuman, and you see them in
Hmm.
more of a human level, just because now you realize what exactly they're going through, and they're at the same time they're just people just like you and I. But what is one thing that you can take away from your SM experience now that you're almost done? That you've been able to, or that you will be able to put into practice once you come back from the mission field?
So I'm normally, I feel like before getting into my missionary here, I was a lot less assertive, a lot less direct, and I've always struggled with that, sort of with insecurity and with I like the feeling of like I don't want to argue with this person because
Mm.
that's just wrong, and I still feel the same way. Like I don't like arguing or, um, yeah, defending my point of view or whatnot. Like, but I've learned to stand up for things that I believe in, that
Mm.
matter, and know that that's okay.
Mhm.
And that confrontation is not always the solution to in this exam, like in for example, have a student follow the rules or something. Sometimes just saying hi to them and them seeing you is like, oh, okay, yeah, I got to do this. So I think applying that later on into Walla Walla and other times, like when I get to back into medical school and stuff like that,
Right.
I feel like it'll help me a lot to connect with people
Mm.
instead of hiding my feelings of like, oh, I don't know if I should say this. I don't know how they're going to feel about it. And just like talking about hard things, hard topics and stuff like that. I'm still growing and, still trying to learn how to, open myself up and, share how I feel to other
Mhm.
people. But yeah, I've definitely gotten a lot of practice on that, here.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. I feel like, no matter where you go, you're definitely going to experience growth in your mission field. And just yeah, no matter where, again, you're going to have different opportunities for growth. Like you're saying, you're becoming more direct, and you're being able to stand up for yourself a little bit more. And that just goes with, the responsibility that it is of being a staff member, of being an agricultural worker, of being whatever it is you're going to be during your SM year. So that's definitely something that's awesome and something definitely that is important to note. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you would like to? I know there were some things that either your supervisor or your boss kind of wanted to say. I don't know if we touched on everything. So if you want, now's the opportunity to kind of just say any final thoughts on your SM year or just the position itself, to promote it to anyone else that's listening out there.
Yeah, so I reached out to you and to what's it called? Andrea. That's how you pronounce her. I don't know. She's cool. I reached out to you guys because the agriculture program here at Milo does need a few more what's it called student missionaries.
Hmm.
After I leave, they will have spots open since
Right.
I there's so many things to do down here. And besides helping out with the market, which is really cool, it's like a certified, well, no, it's not certified yet. It's organic, but we serve things that we produce ourselves. We have it for the community to help them with selling them a fair price produce.
Mm.
So I feel like besides kind of like learning about agriculture, we use this what's it called this job description for the student missionaries to connect and help other people in the community. So if anybody's interested, like man, it'd be super cool for you guys to reach out. You guys can just call the number that you guys find on Google Maps. If you guys tap what's it called type on Milo Academy onto Google Maps, and yeah, I did want to touch on something else that answering your previous question. Another thing that I wanted to take with me from my experience here.
Hmm.
Is that okay with you? Like if
Yeah,
I
of
just
course. Go for it. Go for it.
yeah, another big thing that I learned from being here was that I learned how to be kind of a leader instead of what's the word? Maybe I don't know if boss is the right description of what people think um, when they're leading students and stuff. But being able to have people kind of like under my name, and I had to like steer and like multitask and have everybody supervised and stuff. It it really helped me to for later on if I do become a doctor and I do have like my own clinic or something like that, that I'll be able to um, have people and know how to manage them. So it's really cool. I I think there's a lot of things that I wish that I could just talk more about from here from my experience at Milo. But yeah, if there's anything else that you wanted to ask me about or talk to me about.
No, that's basically it. I just wanted to make sure that we had everything down as far as what you wanted to kind of promote to everyone, as far as the position, because I'm not sure. Do you know if this position is on the like the He Said Go, or is it more of like a application to Milo Academy that you have to send in?
So it should be open on Adventist Volunteer Service.
Okay.
So I think it's He Said Go.
Yeah.
Um, if it's not available there, because my supervisor checked it a few days ago and he saw
Hmm.
that the thing was not available yet, like it was for some reason inactive. If the
Okay.
calling is inactive and you can't find it by typing in Milo, then reach out to either Andrea or to Milo directly, and we can figure something out so we can
Right.
go through them through Adventist Volunteer Service.
Awesome. Yeah, and it definitely sounds like there are a couple different mission opportunities on campus. You said there's a dean position, agriculture, I don't cafeteria work. It sounds like, and I
Uh-huh.
don't know if I missed anything or if you want to add anything to that.
I think that's about it. Or sometimes maintenance too, but I think we do have a maintenance worker right now. Oh yeah, that's another guy too that I forgot to mention him. He actually worked at Big Lake. His name is Toby.
Oh, okay.
Toby Litzy. I don't know if you guys know
Awesome.
him, but
I I don't, but someone else that's listening might know him.
yeah, he's here. He's pretty chill. So yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it definitely seems like there's a lot of different opportunities at Milo. So that's super dope. And I don't want to take too much more of your time. So if you have anything, final words that you'd like to say about the position or about your SM experience in general, now's the time, bro.
Yeah, well, pray over it. Know that God is guiding, like, whew. and know that it's not going to be what you expect. Like like this is just in general. Like you probably
Hmm.
future student missionaries that are already signed up for places probably already know this, but man, like God has so much in plan for you, and if you're willing to give that year to serve Him in different places here in the U.S. or anywhere else, like He's not just gonna bless the community through you. He's also gonna bless you so much. There's so many things that you get to learn. So yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely. I know the school year is coming to an end, but it is definitely not too late to sign up. Whether you may think it is, it's not. And there's domestic calls like Justin and Milo, or there's international calls. A lot of calls are open right now, just because of approval from the NAD and stuff like that. So definitely, if you're thinking about it, you can still have time to come to the office or talk to a current SM like Justin or a past SM, about just as something in general, no matter where you feel you are being called to go. But with that, I want to say thank you to you, Justin, and I appreciate the time you took to come on to our episode today. And with that, we will check in with you guys later. Thank you once again for tuning into another episode of The Called. See you guys later.
Yeah. See you guys.